This is Under One Roof MTL. My name is Robin Flynn, and I'm joined, as always, by Fred Pichette and Martin Spalding of Fred and Martin Mortgages. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hey, Robin.
Good afternoon, Robin.
And we're also joined, as always, by LJ Aguinaga of LJ Realties. Hey, LJ, how's your weekend?
My weekend's going great. How about you?
Very, very good. I am very, very excited because I am going this evening to Peyton's first ever Irish dancing, event, if you will, spaghetti supper, and we get to watch the kids dance. So I'm very, very excited. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
That's so exciting. That's amazing. When you're such a
Yeah, it's really. I am. And you know what? Proud to be a mom. Very excited to support her. Also, very excited to have people listening, and we're so excited that you spend some of your Sunday with us, and we like to reward you with cookies. That is how we say thank you. So if you know the right answer to our trivia question of the week, you can win some cookies from Felix and Norton. You should check them out, by the way, in the Blue Haven Shopping Center in DDO. The first person to text in the correct response to 514-790-0800 will receive cookies from Felix and Norton delivered straight to your door. You don't even have to leave your house. They'll just show up on the doorstep. Our question this week: what is a notary's role in real estate transactions in Quebec? If you think you know it, 514-790-0800, and please do include your name so we can shout you out on the air. There's a lot of stuff in the news this week. I would love to start, if we can, with this topic that has been blowing up on social media. People arguing on threads, on Twitter, on Facebook. Martin, you saw it on NBC News this week. They are talking about 50-year mortgages in the U.S. Now, is this a good idea? Is this a bad idea? It seems pretty polarizing. And is this something that could ever happen here in Canada? Correct me if I'm wrong, but our max amortization is 30 years, right?
Well, in some cases, you can go to alternative lenders and they'll stretch it out to 35. But typically, people go 25, 30. And by exception, we'll go to 35. So it blew up because it was President Donald Trump that introduced the 50-year mortgage idea. And he said it would be a game changer for affordability. So what does that mean? That means you're going to stretch out your amortization over 50 years, which will actually give you lower payments, but you'll end up paying a ton more interest over those 20 additional years. Also, it's going to take an eternity for you to build up any equity in your home, because as we know, when you first take out a mortgage, the first few years are basically interest. So one thing that I really liked is Marjorie Taylor Greene. So conservative Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene opposed the idea. And she's actually been opposing quite a few things that Mr. Trump has been saying lately, because she says it benefits the banks and the builders. And I saw Fred raising his hand. So Fred, you want to say something?
Well, I just want to say it seems to be a plaster on a problem, but it's bigger than that, or 50 years amortization.
I think it's a real Band-Aid on a real problem. The real problem is the nationwide housing shortage caused by years of underbuilding. But if we take a step back, let's talk about Canada and the U.S. In Canada, so we mentioned, typically you take out a 25, 30-year mortgage, and within those 25 and 30 years, there are 5-year terms. At the end of each of those terms, you can actually renew or you can refinance. In the U.S., you take out a 30-year mortgage. Boom, 30 years at whatever rate you signed for. Now, you can refinance in the States, but what happens is it resets the clock. So when you refinance, you're back at 30 years again. The beauty in Canada is you've got shorter terms, so it gives you a lot more flexibility. In Canada, there's a stress test. In the United States, there's no stress test. So if we were to take an example, and actually NBC ran this on their nightly news this week, but I changed their strategy a little bit. I did my own number crunching. So let's say we take a mortgage of $500,000 at 6.5%, which is the going rate in the United States. So if you were to amortize that, which is typical now, over 30 years, your monthly payment would be about $3,200. And the total interest you would pay for the length of that mortgage would be around, get this, $637,000 in interest. Okay, so keep that number in your head. So we go to a 50-year amortization. You'll pay a little less monthly, probably about $300 or about $2,800. But I hope everyone's sitting down. After 50 years, the amount of interest you have paid on this $500,000 mortgage at 6.5% is $1,200,000. Now, so
That's crazy, Mark.
why do people like the idea? Lower monthly payments, improved cash flow. You know, smaller margin can reduce the chance you need to sell in a tough market. But why I'm cautious about it, and I don't think this is something that we should bring into Canada, is the amount of interest you're going to pay, the slower equity you're going to build up in your home. If everyone goes for 50 years, it's cheaper to get qualified. It's cheaper to buy a home. So what's that going to do with limited inventory? It's going to push up home prices. And also, if you sign for 50 years, the American style, you're locked in for a 50-year mortgage with a rate for 50 years. So do I think it's a good idea? Yeah. I think the real problem is you need to address the lack of affordability, the lack of accessibility, and the lack of inventory before you start proposing 50-year mortgages.
Not to mention, I referenced it last week, but the average age of a first-time homebuyer in the U.S. is now 41 years old.
So at the end of this,
You're
you'll
signing
be
a
90.
50-year
Yeah,
mortgage.
you'll finish one
Yeah.
mortgage and you'll take out a reverse
You will
mortgage.
never be mortgage-free. You will never be
No,
mortgage-free.
you'll be 90, and the day that you get the keys to your place and it's wholly owned by you, you're going to call Fred and I and you're going to go, hey, you know what? I think I need a reverse
Or
mortgage.
it definitely not a game changer like Donald Trump says. I'm telling you.
Well, lots of Donald Trump things said aren't necessarily grounded in truth.
But
shall
they're
we
all
say.
beautiful. They're beautiful.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I definitely want to talk about Montreal's real estate market. LJ, I know that the October report just came out. Are home sales up for the month of October?
Home sales are up for the most part. Now, if I look at the Greater Montreal area, or the CMA as they call it now, we can see the total sales is up 5%. If I go by category, single family homes was up 8%, condos was down 4%. That's obviously the story we've been talking about for the last couple of months, even year at this point. But multiplex sales are up 20%. There's been a huge demand for multiplexes and for single family homes in the Greater Montreal area. And we see prices continue to jump specifically in those two categories as well. And condos as well, if you get off island. On island is really the hottest part of the condo market. But overall, we're seeing the same story kind of across all major Canadian cities right now. Even if you bring it back to on island, single family home sales are up, median prices up in all categories. It's really what we've been talking about for the last little while. As interest rates came down, people have been sitting on the sidelines, jumped into the market. They've been super excited by it. And this has led to a lot more transactions and a lot more action in the real estate market as a whole.
Which is good news for LJ, and it's good news for you if you just bought a multiplex, perhaps. Maybe you purchased a duplex or a triplex or even a larger building, and you need somebody to help you manage it. Give the Plex Doctor a call at 514-709-6397. You can also check out their very cool website at plexdr.com. Still to come, what can you do to showcase your property and make sure that it is as attractive as possible to potential buyers? LJ has some advice for you after we check traffic at the CJD 800 Traffic Center. This is Under One Roof MTL. That is LJ. That is Fred. That is Martin. I am Robin. If you ever have any questions for the guys, you can email us at underoneroofmtl@gmail.com. I check the email regularly. It's on my phone, and I will not miss your emails. So make sure you send your questions our way. Our question this week, which is a great one for this segment, LJ, since this is what we're going to be talking about anyway. I'm getting ready to list my home, and I'm wondering, should I invest in professional staging? Or is a good cleaning and a declutter enough? What would you answer this person, LJ?
The answer is it depends. It always depends on the property, it depends on the state, it depends on so many variables, it depends on the price point. If we're looking at the luxury, let's say 1.5 million and plus, versus we're looking at a starter home maybe in the $500,000 range. So really, more times than not, a good clean and declutter is more than enough, especially not in the luxury segment unless you have the luxury furniture that goes along with it. That's usually the biggest thing. It's the biggest return on your investment. If you can get rid of all the extra stuff that you've been accumulating over the years, depersonalize the home, start removing some of the photos, personal things of that nature. Again, we want to have potential buyers focused on the property itself, not on your stuff. So get rid of all the little trinkets, get rid of the extra stuff that's sitting on your countertops, clean up all the beds, make sure they're nicely made, and make sure that it's really warm and inviting. That's usually plenty. A deep clean as well goes along with that, so that there's no distractions, like we mentioned. Now, if the property is vacant, that's where we want to start considering potential staging for the property. Vacant places always look smaller than they actually are, and a lot of buyers have a difficult time visualizing furniture, whether it's their furniture or potential furniture in the space. So, especially if you're looking at a condo that's slightly smaller, having furniture in there really helps people and allows them to see the potential as to how you can truly lay out the room, how much stuff truly fits in there. And especially with a lot of downtown condos that we've had where the build size continues to get smaller and smaller, we need to know what kind of furniture you're going to be able to fit in there to make people comfortable with the idea of purchasing this property. So, whether you're in the luxury or the smaller side, there's a time and place for staging both those types of properties. But like I said, the first thing is always book an appointment with me. I'd love to come through and I can give you personalized advice that's tailored for your specific situation.
Quick question, LJ, is staging a flat cost or is it a percentage of? How does staging and how do you evaluate the return on your investment by staging a property?
So staging usually has two components to it. First of all, you have the initial setup fee where it has all the moving, all the stuff, and then there's a rental per month fee. That's how they usually do it. Or sometimes they'll combine the first 2 or 3 months into one fee, and then after that there'll be a monthly that follows that. So it's never a percentage of the price of the sale or anything like that. It's always fixed fees for the stager who's bringing in the furniture that she has and stuff of that nature. I've seen staging work so well sometimes that the buyer said they wanted to buy all the furniture with it as well, and the stager ended up selling them the furniture, and we sold the whole thing together as a package. So that's how it works in terms of pricing, and in terms of strategy. Like I said, it really depends on the property. There's certain properties that you walk through and feel very empty and open, and it really doesn't allow people to visualize, especially if you have this beautiful open concept kitchen, living, dining, but it ends up being this huge open canvas. People struggle to like, what kind of dining room table can I fit in here? How big? Where's the living room start versus finish? And whenever you have all these things that lead to uncertainty, we need to clear that up, and the best way to clear that up is with some excellent staging on a property. So sometimes we'll try unstage for a couple months, and we see that we're not getting the hits that we believe that we should be getting, and not getting the price point that we're looking at, and we'll opt for staging at that point, and we'll kind of pivot. We'll take it off. We'll have it staged. We'll reshoot the property, and then we'll relist and go from there and see the reception we've gotten. And I have seen a unit that didn't sell one year, and then we kind of came back the next year, staged it, went down that road. It had a very different result.
What are your thoughts on virtual staging?
We use virtual staging all the time. So especially for all of our rental properties, for even some listings, it really depends. It helps people understand visually, at least. It gives them a reference point of what would be possible with units. So virtual staging, I now consider almost like the minimum standard, to be quite honest. But when we get into more specific luxury things, or really difficult to visualize in-person things, and I think simple solutions. Like I've seen somebody actually put green tape or masking tape on the floor to show somebody what a queen size bed's going to look like in this room, to help them visualize it. So as much as staging is great, this just kind of helps put into reference when people usually come in what their basic requirements are and what they're expecting to be able to do, and help them visualize how much space is going to be taken up by a bed, or something of that nature.
Fred, did you have something you wanted to say in here?
Well, yeah, let's say I own my house for 40, 50 years. I want to downsize it, sell it, and all my furniture is a bit old. Is it mandatory to stage the property? What do you think about that, LJ?
Nothing's mandatory in this world, not in this side. So no, it's again, as long as the property is really well kept. And I've had a couple listings this year where it's exactly that situation. Somebody had been in the property for 40 plus years, and their furniture was older, and they were looking forward to parting ways with all their furniture and getting new furniture for their new condo, which would be smaller and stuff of that nature. So don't worry about removing it all. As long as the place is neat and clean and spacious and feels open, people can see past the type of furniture. They're really looking at, okay, look, a three-person couch fits on this side, a love seat fits on this side, and there's a coffee table. That's what we're looking for. Being able to understand how we can use the space and how we're going to live in this space.
So let's talk about photos as well, because that's a great way to really showcase a property and highlight its strengths. When I'm browsing on Centrist and I see a house and there's one picture of the exterior in the winter, I'm like, this is a red flag to me. I want to see what's inside that house. So, what can you do, LJ, to really highlight a home's strengths?
It comes down to the preparation. So when we're working with sellers, we want to make sure the sellers, we have a guide. We have basically a video guide. We have a PDF guide where these are the things that you should do to prepare your home so that we can shoot it in the best light possible. We can do our video work and really highlight all the amazing features that your home has to offer. So if you're ready to make the investment of time and preparation in terms of decluttering, in terms of getting rid of all the extra stuff, going to give it away, whatever it might be, that's really the biggest step. And like I said, a deep clean. There's nothing worse than walking through a home and seeing cobwebs on top of the shower or mold in certain corners. A lot of the time it's just replacing the caulking, replacing the silicone, freshening up certain things that we talk about. I'll always do a walkthrough and hey, we should correct this, we should fix this. These are minor repairs that should be done, and they go a long way when people are walking through the home because people usually think if I'm seeing this or this is how this has been treated, imagine things behind the walls, in the attic, in the crawl space that if you couldn't have the basic maintenance plan for these things that are so visually apparent, you've probably neglected a lot of other things as well.
So how do you tailor your approach depending on the property? Because I imagine the way you try to showcase a condo is very different than the way you would showcase, a single family home in the suburbs.
Everything comes down to who's our target market, right? Who do we believe we're going to be selling this property to, and how can we best align the property to showcase in the best fashion for that target market that we're targeting? So we're never going to stage, let's say, a condo with older furniture that's very big and bulky unless it's in a very large apartment. That is a lot of people who are downsizing in that neighborhood, particularly. In the city, it's always gonna be more modern, much more minimalist, much smaller stuff that's all gonna fit in there. For a suburban house, it's a lot of the time gonna be on space. So how many bedrooms we have, how many people can be living in the house, how there's a work from home area downstairs, it's dedicated, potential options for the backyard, how you can be hosting barbecues in the space and tables and whatnot. Maybe there's a fire pit, so really playing on all these things to use the expression, it's a lifestyle. It's showcasing how people can live in the property and how they can enjoy it.
If you're not sure if now is the right time to buy, or maybe you need some help deciding, give LJ a call, 514-500-4040. He will help you decide if you should buy or if it's the right time to sell. Coming up, what lenders don't tell you. Fred and Martin are privy to that information and they'll share it with you after the news. This is indeed Under One Roof MTL on CJD 800. I'm Robin. That's Fred. That's Martin. That is LJ. What lenders don't tell you. My goodness, the secrets that you guys must have, the things you must know. I am so excited. Let me get my popcorn ready. I don't know, learn some
It,
stuff.
it's not secrets. It's just being informed enough to ask the right questions.
Aha.
They're not keeping secrets. They're just not volunteering the information.
And
So
sadly, the people they don't bring much what they should have, like the deed of law. And that's why we're going to try to demystify that a little bit.
yeah, so let's start with breaking your mortgage early because this is something that I just did when I decided to refinance my home a little bit early. There are penalties, and because I do this show with you guys every week, I knew exactly what to expect. So I was prepared for that. But, how are those penalties calculated in the first place for people who maybe don't know what to expect?
Well, the first thing you should do is if you're sitting in front of a lender and you have to break your mortgage, ask the lender to do the math for you. Do the math in writing, and then you'll know exactly what the impact of breaking your mortgage will be. They're not going to voluntarily give you those numbers. You're going to get it at disbursement. You'll get it when you're refinancing. You'll get it when you're renewing. They're not just going to say, hey, by the way, by doing this, this is your penalty. Now, there are two different sets of penalties. There are penalties for fixed rates and variable rate. So for fixed rate, the penalty is usually the greater of 3 months of interest or the interest rate differential. And the interest rate differential is not calculated the same way by all the lenders. So that's why it's really important to say, can you show me the math? And for a variable rate mortgage, generally it's 3 months of interest. So the most important question is, I need to break my mortgage. How much is it going to cost me? Show me the numbers.
And one thing I could add to this, Robert, is uh, people usually just look for the best interest rate they could get, but also they should look at the penalty that they may face once in their life. The statistic says that 7 people out of 10 end up breaking your mortgage. And That's me. Sooner or later, you will face a penalty. And it's so important to read the condition of your mortgage loan instead of just looking for the best interest rate possible. Because at the end of the day, eh, 7 people out of 10 will end up paying a penalty. And that's why it's important to know.
And for lenders, that's the real moneymaker. A mortgage for a lender or for a big bank is not a big moneymaker. The big moneymakers for banks are the penalties.
And the credit cards.
A lot.
Well, yes.
We're talking about mortgages right now. Don't get in.
0.99% that compounds daily. Thank you, Martin. You've got
Thank
that
you.
drilled into my head. Okay, this second question, I don't even understand the question, which is, you're going to explain this to me. So, is this a standard charge or a collateral charge mortgage, and why does it matter? What does that mean exactly?
Well, let's try to keep it simple. A standard charge mortgage, this is a traditional type of mortgage charge registered against your property. Let's put an example. You take a mortgage of $400,000 a couple years ago. They register a charge of $400,000. This is a regular standard charge, meaning what you borrow, what's the charge is. What is good about the standard charge is it free up the equity that you have. Let's say down the road you need a $25,000 or $50,000 as a second rank mortgage. If you have enough equity, you could have that second rank mortgage without a problem. Now, also, when it's easier and cheaper to switch lender at renewal. That's what helps you with a standard charge mortgage, because you have to discharge only that charge, only one charge. On the other end, if you compare a collateral charge, what does it mean? This is a charge that type often used by major bank, like any big bank in Canada, like all the big banks that people knows. It is registered under the Bank Act as a collateral charge, not just a simple mortgage. It's two charge there. The lender usually can register the charge up to 125% of the whole value. It's often used to borrow additional funds, like people know a HELOC, a home equity line of credit. Or you could add also another mortgage portion with your same lender at no cost because you have that collateral charge. Is it a good thing to have a collateral charge? Well, opinions are different. I would say, for me, in my case, if you're not really looking for credit or any extra funds, I would say no, you should have a single charge, a standard charge. But if it's something that you might need later on, then adding a line of credit, which is, as Martin explained many times, could be dangerous because it's like a credit card, but a lower interest rate and it's compound daily. But that could be a good option because you have access to your equity. Like that's mainly the difference between a standard charge and a collateral charge.
I love how simple you make everything, Fred. Like, I came in not knowing, you always explain things in such a great way. I love that, and I appreciate that about you. Okay, what prepayment options do you get? Let's say I get a bonus at work, or I inherit some money. Can I pay down some of my mortgage? Is there a maximum I can pay down? What are the limits?
Again, this is something that you got to do before you sign for your mortgage. So, what prepayment options do I get by signing for this mortgage? And are there any limits? Generally, and I'm saying generally, lenders will allow you to make lump sum payments on the anniversary of your mortgage from anywhere to 10 to 20%. That lump sum goes right against the principal. So if you really want to attack your mortgage, lump sum payments are great. And then there are some lenders that not only will offer you a lump sum payment on the anniversary of your mortgage, but will allow you to make double monthly payments. And the second monthly payment goes right against your principal. So again, these types of conditions are really important if you really want to attack your mortgage and draw it down as quickly as possible. So again, these are the types of questions you need to ask.
One great strategy is, I know it could be hard for certain family or certain people, but if you could add $100 or $200 every month to your mortgage payment, that will be applied directly towards the principal. That will significantly reduce the amount of interest that you pay on that mortgage. And this is a key strategy. Just $100 a month, 150 or 200 a month makes a huge difference. Like instead sometime of looking to the best rate out there with the worst condition possible, prioritize the strategy, you know, and that would make you save thousands of dollars.
You know what? I often say if they don't get you coming in the front door, they'll get you going out the back there. So, you know what? We often say that 5 basis points doesn't make a huge difference, but 5 basis points with poor conditions can make a huge difference.
Okay, let's talk about variable versus fixed rate. This is a raging debate at every dinner party I've ever attended over what is the right choice. So, if I choose a variable rate, what's my trigger rate or payment shock risk?
Okay, well, a trigger rate is when your payment no longer covers the interest. Then the lender may raise your payment, extend your amortization, or ask you for a lump sum. So that's a variable that has a trigger to it. And an adjustable rate, an adjustable rate variable mortgage. Oh, that was a mouthful. Your payment changes as prime changes, so there is no trigger to it. So they're two different products. You just got to be careful because a lot of people got trapped in where the amount that their payments weren't covering the interest, and then they had to pony up.
Why, Robin, to answer your question, should I go variable or fixed? It's fun because we answer that question all the time with our client every week. And this week, a first time home buyers, we did their mortgage, a nice couple. And and really when you're first time home buyers, you want to know how much you're going to pay every month. Like probably a fixed rate, it's much better. And also when you're putting 5 to 10% down, you have a higher mortgage amount, which is a fixed rate is probably better for you. But if your mortgage balance is, let's say, is below 300 and you willing to take a calculated risk, I think variable is a good trend right now. You can make you save a lot of money. But again, you have to decide which variable you want, the adjustable one or the regular one.
So just building on that very quickly, Robin, most people sign for a 5-year fixed. There's nothing stopping you from signing from a 3-year fix. So you get that stability on a monthly basis, but you'll benefit if rates continue to go down in a shorter lapse of time.
Great advice. To find out more about your lending options, get in touch with Fred and Martin. You can go to their website at fredandmartin.com. Coming up, our property of the week plus the answer to our trivia question of the week. That's all coming up after we check traffic at the CJD 800 Traffic Center. Wrapping up on Under One Roof MTL. I'm Robin, that's LJ, that's Fred, that is Martin. It is time for our property of the week. Where are we going this week, LJ?
Live in style in the heart of Griffintown. Welcome to 425A Rue de Versailles, a beautifully renovated 2-bedroom condo offering comfort, space, and modern charm. Enjoy a bright open layout, a spacious kitchen, perfect for entertaining, sleek finishes, and your own private balcony. You're just steps away from the Lachine Canal, the Atwater Market, shops, and cafes, as well as the Bonaventure Metro Station. We're listed at $525,000. This is Griffintown living at its best. Now, I will say you're kind of on the cusp between Griffintown and Little Burgundy, so you got tons of great options available to you. However, the closest, I mean, literally, you are facing the parking lot of this restaurant, it's that close to you, is Shea Restaurant, a wonderful Middle Eastern Mediterranean restaurant fusion. The food's spectacular. We've got an awesome terrace. They've got parking. They've got everything you want for a good night out, and they even have an awesome brunch menu. So check them out, swing by. There's tons of amazing food options around there.
LJ, you had me at Versailles. Where do I buy? Where do I pay?
No, yeah, that's a really great part of town. I love hanging out at the Burgundy Lion. They've also got some really good food if you want some traditional UK food. So, yeah, really, really great neighborhood. Love it. And plus, that seems like a really good price for a 2-bedroom condo in Griffintown.
It's an awesome spot.
Yeah, no, LJ, you're always bringing us the deals. We love to see it. Okay, I want to get to the answer for our trivia question of the week, brought to you by Felix and Norton Cookies. Our question this week was about notaries, and I spent some time in a notary's office this week, so I'm suddenly familiar with notaries. The question was, what is a notary's role in real estate transactions in Quebec? The answer is that their role is in real estate is to act as an impartial legal expert who handles the legal and financial aspects of a transaction to protect all parties, buyer, seller, brokers, everybody. They're responsible for examining property titles, drafting legal documents like your deed of sale and mortgage, and ensuring that the transfer is properly registered. And they also handle all the funds. They magically make things happen and move around, which is wonderful. So they make things a little bit easier for you. Our winner this week is Donna in Kirkland. Congratulations, you're getting some cookies from Felix and Norton. Yummy.
Robin, question for you.
Yes, sir.
Beginning to end, if Fred hadn't called a notary on your behalf,
Wow.
how long did it take to get through your mortgage application and to get yourself to the notary?
From beginning to end, when I first said to you guys, hey, please help me, we need to refinance, to when it will be all completed, it will be about 2 months.
Okay.
And you guys were there on my side, really making things happen. So, if I didn't have a Fred and Martin in my corner, this thing probably would have taken 3 months from beginning to end. That's a long time.
Because the reason I'm asking is that there's a real, and I see Fred raising his hand, but there's a real notary issue right now with the sheer volume of mortgages that are being renewed or refinanced right now. If you don't know a notary, call a friend, call around, because more than likely, we've heard some notaries say, I've had no availability until January. And that can have a real impact on your finances if you can't get to the notary and you can't get your mortgage reinstated.
Well, at first, the notary called and gave us an appointment like 3 weeks away. I was like, oh, wow, that's quite a while. And Fred called and was like, no, you got to get Robin in sooner. So lucky to have a Fred.
Unacceptable.
No, it's just it always takes more time than we think.
Yep.
By the time Martin and I, we will get the strategy for you very quickly. We'll submit your file with all your documents. We'll do all the follow up very, very quickly. But after that, you have the underwriting of the bank, the appraisal, fulfill all the condition, and getting the notary, receiving the instruction on time, plus the appointment. It's something that could take more than what people say, 15 days, 20 days. It's kind of longer than that.
And be
Because it
prepared
must be the
to
same for
present.
you, LJ. I mean, when you're going through a transaction, getting the seller and the buyer to a notary must be sometimes quite challenging.
Definitely can be challenging, but like you guys, I have a little bit of pull at a couple notary offices, so I can make sure that we get things progressing as quickly as possible. And the reason we work with a couple of notaries that we trust, that we've worked with a long time, and they ensure to give our clients preferential treatment, make sure that we don't miss any delays because they understand how important it is. Especially a refinance is one thing, because yes, you're going to be paying more interest. There might be things that are going on to that effect, but whenever we're dealing with a purchase, there's always a little bit more pressure because you're lining up several families is moving in and out of properties. So I don't want to say they give priority to this, but obviously they do understand that there's a little bit more at stake with somebody who's going to be homeless potentially. So we make sure to get that going. But yeah, I mean, it comes down to working with the right people, having the right team in your corner, and making sure that we can get things to the finish line in a timely manner.
All right, that's pretty much it for us for this week. If you have any questions and you want to have your answer featured on the show, you can email us underoneroofmtl@gmail.com. You can also reach out to LJ, Fred, and Martin individually, and I highly recommend you do. These guys are incredible. LJ, where do people go to reach you?
Check out our website, ljrealties.com. That's LJREALTIES.com. Or our socials with the handle LJ Aguinaga. That's LJAGUINAGA or LJ Realties. You can also call or text me at 514-500-4040. If you do have some investment properties and you no longer want to be managing them because you don't want to have the risk of getting a phone call at midnight or over the weekend, and you want to pass along that responsibility to somebody else that you trust, reach out to my property management company, Plex Doctor, to take over and get you back your time. You can find us at plexdr.com or contact 514-709-6397.
And you definitely want to do that. Thierry, who you work with, Thierry Beauvernet, is incredible. Such a great guy. You definitely want to have him managing your property for you. Fred?
He's awesome.
Yeah, he is. Fred, Martin, where do people go to reach you?
I tell you, Bourbonnais, Versailles.
C'est tellement pensé aujourd'hui.
LJ's got a very classy operation.
Yep, of course. Of course. Okay, Martin,
So,
where do people go?
uh,
Find you.
So for Fred and I, first of all, we spend a lot of time answering questions. So there are no bad questions. If you got a question, just give us a call and we're happy to answer it. So if you're in the market, you're a first-time home buyer, you're looking to get pre-qualified, you're looking to renew, you're looking to refinance, you're looking for a reverse mortgage, very easy to get in touch with us. Go to our website. Our phone numbers are there, and those are our personal phone numbers. You call us, we answer the phone. Those are our email addresses. You email us, we answer our emails. Or you can book us directly through the website, fredandmartin.com, fredandmartin.com, or
fredandmartin.com.
If you missed anything, you can listen to this show in its entirety. We're available on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. For LJ, Fred, and Martin, I'm Robin. Have a great day.